Hey, what's up guys? This is going to be the third and final game in this best of three. The map is Daybreak, and in the top right position we have EmpireHappy spawning as the red Terran, and in the bottom left position we have AiTarra spawning as the green Protoss. This series has been sick so far. They are at a 1-1 tie right now. Terra did manage to take game 1 with an immortal all-in off one base. And game 2 did go to EmpireHappy. That game was setting up to be a really nice macro game. Terra going for the Nexus first, he did pull it off, and EmpireHappy, in reaction to that Nexus first, he did throw out an early third CC. But the problem came when Terra tried to secure his third Nexus. EmpireHappy did a really nice job of baiting the army to come and defend the third Nexus, but the real attack was going into the main, because EmpireHappy had a double drop loaded up behind the main, ready to go. And as Terra moved his whole army to the third, EmpireHappy's drop came into the main, and just the army was just way too out of position, and the bioforces from the drops killed a bunch of probes. They were going to do so much more damage, and Terra had to tap out at that point. And Daybreak is a pretty big map, you know. It is characterized by its ability to be split into quite nicely. Zelnaga Watchtower and this fourth base position is a really nice defensive position for both races. And looks like EmpireHappy is going to go for a 1-Rax expand yet again. It is looking like that is going to be the case. And Terra is going for a really standard play as well, you know, with Gateway into Simulator. Second pylon is in the main, so it does look like there isn't going to be any sort of proxies. Terra moving into the main with his scouting probe, scouting the gases, seeing that there is none. He does spot. He does not see the barracks as of yet, and he might assume that there is a CC first. But I do think he will spot this barracks, and the marine is coming out, and it should reveal itself. So Terra should know that the barracks is out. There is no sort of proxy shenanigans or any sort of CC first. And EmpireHappy has his SCV patrolling here at the natural. A probe has snuck out of the main into the third position, but I wonder what he's going to do with that. It could be to set up some sort of proxy pylon for later on. And the CC does go down, as well as a bunker. EmpireHappy being really safe at this point. And this Zealot and this probe are here to ward away this SCV so he can throw down the Nexus. After Cybernetics Core, really standard play from both guys so far in this game, and this is looking like a pretty standard game. It would be nice to see a really macro-oriented game as a game 3, you know, really, because I mean macro is where the real skill comes out. It's kind of like, you know, the better player will almost always win a macro game. 2 more racks are coming out for Happy, as well as his double gas being secured at the same time. This is looking to be a really standard build off from him. He should probably throw down a factory after the stim has started research together with an engineering bay, and following that up with a starport, and doing some sort of a 10-minute 2 medevac, or maybe even a 4 medevac push against the Protoss. It's a really effective, really standard time for the Terran to start putting on some pressure. The deviation for the Terran builds does come kind of at the 8:30 minute mark. The Terran can decide to throw down an earlier third CC, or he can decide to throw down 2 more barracks and play a bit more aggression based, in securing that third at around the 11-minute mark. But if you do go for the extra 2 barracks earlier, you do have to do some damage at least, because the Protoss, as long as he deflects the attacks, he should be ahead in securing the third. But we will see about that. The second gas has finished for Terra, and look at this, a really early third Nexus is coming out for him. Happy really needs to scout this and decide what he wants to do against this, because this kind of greedy play, you know, Terra is on 1 gate at this point, and this amount of Marines could actually do some damage. You know, all he has is this Stalker, a Sentry, and a Zealot somewhere as well. No, actually there's a second Stalker out as well, so I guess this amount of Marines shouldn't do too much. But if EmpireHappy does decide to get aggressive a little earlier, before the infrastructure for Terra does start to kick in, and the economy from that third does start to pay off, Happy could do a lot of damage, and Happy is moving his Marine into the third position, and the Stalker is here to deflect it. It does get the kill off on the Marine. This could make EmpireHappy a little suspicious. You know, if the Protoss isn't taking an early third, they really have no reason to put this Stalker here. So I think Happy kind of knows what's going on. There might have been a scan in the main. Not too sure. There was actually something building here, and that was cancelled when Happy scanned. So I'm sorry I missed that, but I'm not too sure what that was, and I'm not so sure Happy knows at this point either. A really characteristic of Happy at this point, a turret going down at the front, being extra safe. Only 3 gases are secured at this point. He is kind of conserving his gas. This means he wants to get a higher mineral income, but the 4th gas does go down now. This could just be a really refined build where he knows exactly how much gas he needs at which point, and it might, you know, allow him to get that extra mineral income, as I said. And no 3rd CC or extra barracks on the way as of yet, but it does look like the SCV is going here to the 3rd location to put that down with the Marine accompanying it. And it does look like with those first 2 medevacs popping out, +1 combat shields and concussive shells about to finish all at the same time, EmpireHappy does opt to push out. A probe is patrolling here to scout any sort of attack move out for the Protoss, but the probe will end up missing this attack because the attack does go down through the south, stemming 1 Marauder to go take out whatever is at this watchtower, which is a Zealot at this point. He should be able to kite back and kill this Zealot without taking any losses right now. And I'll be interested to see if he will go straight through the front, which is really risky at this point because these force fields should be able to cut the army in half. But it does look like he is loading up 1 medevac, and at the same time going to the 3rd. He knows Terra's armies are limited at this point, and stretching this small amount of units across this big of a gap is a pretty challenging task for the Protoss. But it does look like the Stalkers are in position to kill this dropship, and with the 6 gates that Terra has operational at this point, he should be able to deflect this drop without much problems at all. And the Zealots, with the Zealot Sentry Force at the 3rd, you know, that contingency of forces was taken out as well. And there is a medevac here loaded up, sneaking on to behind the 3rd. Does look like Terra does spot it, and the Zealots and Sentries are moving into position to defend it, and so Happy is forced to lift off and retreat. Behind this, the 3rd CC is complete, and the worker count is heavily in favor of Terra at this point, 61 to 49 SCVs. And a Dark Shrine is coming out on the way. Well, Happy luckily does, I mean, this isn't luck, but he does have this missile turret here, so any DTs into the main or natural should be deflected quite easily. It just depends if he can get any sort of damage done at the 3rd of these DTs. But with 3 CCs finished and building up energy, there is quite a high chance that Cass should have scans available at the time. And a double drop is going into the main yet again, just like last game, and we'll see if Terra can deflect this time. Stalkers are in position to defend this, and it does look like he does spot it. The Stalkers did move momentarily. Happy does scan in advance before he goes in, but the Stalkers move into position, and they take out 1 of the dropships, but not before he unloads all of the Marines and Marauders that were in it. Probes are being forced to be pulled here, and Happy is doing a really nice job at doing some really nice damage here. 16, 17, 18, 19, 19 probes have gone down in that attack, and the economy is now in the Terran's favor, especially with the triple mule from these orbitals. His mineral income should shoot up ahead 2,000 to the 1,600 of the Protoss, but DTs are being morphed in, and now if the units are here in position to kill these DTs in time before they get into the main and natural, it should be okay. But it does look like they do sneak through, and there's 1 DT in the main, 1 DT in the natural, 1 DT in the 3rd base, and This is going to require some really nice multitasking from Happy to deflect all of these without taking too much damage. It does look like the DTs are getting a significant amount of kills, but there's another drop in the main, a double drop in fact. Only 3 more workers do go down, and it does look like Happy wasn't watching the drops. He was preoccupied with defending this DT harassment. 18 SCVs have gone down for the Terran, and now Tara does kind of reclaim his worker advantage. But it does look like the DTs do get cleaned up eventually, but not before equalizing the game yet again, and some really nice trades going off for these guys. But the Protoss army is looking quite frightening at this point. +1 is finished, as well as +1 armor, +2 attack, as well as +3 armor is on the way for the Protoss, as well as blink. +2 armor is on the way for the Terran. He is done with 2-1. So the upgrades are quite even at this point, and ghosts are coming out as well behind this. And the robotics facility is on the way now. And the only thing that Terra has sacrificed this game is his tech. He is now largely stuck with a gateway-centric army. He could morph some DTs in and turn them into Archons, but Happy will have ghosts, and so with a quick 3 CCs, Tara has been forced into building a lot of gateways for earlier defense, and following up with the DT shrine means that his robotics facility is really delayed here. But with this big number of zealots, EmpireHappy is going to have to get some really nice EMPs, as well as some really nice kiting in order to hold this off. And there's a bunker here. A wall is starting to formulate here, and looks like only just a few zealots are being sent in here. Tara doesn't want to risk losing his army to any sort of EMPs. Nice observer positioning here. This is a really nice position right here. It is over this terrain, so it is slightly harder to spot than the usual observers. But it does look like Tara is at a supply lead at this point. The armies are looking quite even though. So the advantage is in fact in the harvester count. 74 probes to 51 SCVs, but the army for Happy is looking quite formidable as well, with these ghosts mixed in against the gateway-centric army with Archons in it. It should do pretty well, but the first 2 Colossus are on the way. +3 is on the way for the Protoss. Looks like the Zealots do manage to get into the mineral line and get some kills off, but it shouldn't do too much damage. So the upgrades are going to finish ahead of time for the Protoss, but the real problem is here is that the Protoss has started double Colossus production, but the Terran has no Vikings on the field as of yet. He doesn't even have them started building, and no 4th is on the way either. So the Protoss is at an advantage, I must say. The supply is really nicely in favor of the Protoss. EmpireHappy is going to have to pull off some miracle engagements here if he does want to fight. He does scan the army and sees the Colossus, and he pulls back, which is a wise choice. You know, this army is not going to be able to take out this army with these 2 Colossus, as well as this huge number of zealots. The one thing that Happy does kind of have in his favor is that the stalker count, as well as the anti-air for the Protoss army, is lacking quite a bit. So if he can get a good number of Vikings out to start sniping these Colossus, they should have air control uncontestedly because of the lack of anti-air. And looks like a double drop has been loaded up to go into the main, but there's nice cannon positioning here, as well as stalkers in the back of the main. And the proxy pylon does get taken out here, and the army of Happy is moving into an aggressive position here. The observer is following this army to try and spot its whereabouts, and Tara's army is in position to hold off this attack, but it is a fake by Happy. The drop does go into the main. Looks like one of the medevacs does get taken out while it only unloads about half of its load, and it does look like the Protoss army is chasing the Terran army right now. He is neglecting to really defend this drop. He is going to try and defend it purely with DT warpins, but Happy does spot it, and it looks like he might be able to take out these DTs before, but the DTs do significant damage to that drop. And this whole time, the Protoss has been mining from his 4th base, while the Terran 4th is only just being started. The Viking count is only at 4 right now, while it's actually 1 Viking to every Colossus right now. So the Colossus should have a really nice time, and the Colossus are doing a really nice dance right here. This does happen from time to time in this exact spot on this exact map. It is quite entertaining to watch. But getting back to the game, +1 ship weapons is on the way for the Terran, as well as the cloaking for the ghosts, and producing 3 Vikings at a time now. So the army composition should be a bit better for the Terran pretty soon, but the only problem is that the economy for the Protoss is quite nice. His 4th base has been mined from for a while now, and he should be able to secure his 5th pretty freely with, wow, 6 Colossus are in this army. And, you know, building 3 Vikings is good, but his Viking production was started quite late, and right now he only has 8 Vikings. And against this amount of Colossus, you know, he's going to be in a bit of trouble. Yeah, the Protoss is starting to research the shield upgrades as well. Once they finish the attack and armor upgrades, the Protoss usually do move on to the shields, as well as Psystorm is on the way. Nice EMPs all over these zealots going down right now, and this army, unless it should be able to take care of that, but the main army of the Protoss is moving into the 3rd position of the Terran. But it does look like he opts to pull back the EMP potential for the Terran, which is too great right there. But with this really nice 6 Colossus count, he should be able to inflict some really nice damage if he opts to attack. The Viking count is actually really low, but it should catch up in time. And a really weird thing going on here, the Protoss is warping in a bunch of cannons in front of the 4th location of the Terran. This should delay the Terran's ability to secure a 4th quite nicely, and I really like what Terra is doing actually, is containing the Terran on a 3-base economy, and with a map like this where you can jump in between the natural and the 3rd base, it is really easy to kind of pull the Terran armies thin across the 2 locations. And if Terra just keeps doing this, like jumping in between the natural and the 3rd, the Terran has to stay defensive, and you know, even if Happy gets somewhat of a favorable engagement, the Protoss has this cannoned up area to pull back to, and it looks like Terra is doing a really nice job of doing multi-pronged attacks throughout this game, morphing in zealots time and time again. But it does look like the Viking count is quite nice. At 8, actually it's not too great. One of them does get sniped, but EMPs are landing really nicely, very consistently for Happy. So that is what's been keeping him in the game. His really nice EMPs. Look at this army. Most of the units are out of shields right now, and looks like 2 more Colossus are here to reinforce his army, bringing him up to a grand total of 7 Colossus. The Viking count is quite nice now. It is at 11. So he should... Nice EMPs yet again. Happy's EMPing has just been phenomenal this game. And looks like Yogo leaves the game. But Happy is pushing back this Protoss army quite nicely. It does look like the arc is quite nice for the Terran. Some of the units getting stuck there, but with this warp in of Zealots, the Protoss army should do quite nicely. But the Colossus count has been whittled out so nicely by the Vikings. The Stalkers have neglected to target fire down these Vikings, and so Happy does break out of this contain, and it does look like Happy does have the supply lead right now. All the ghosts are cloaked, and they are being target fired down by the Dark Templars, which is a really nice move by Terra. And most of the Terran army does get cleaned up, but he does have reinforcements back coming out of the main. A lot of landed Vikings actually. And this is not a good feeling at all for the Terran when you have to start landing your Vikings to try and fight the Protoss army. But it does look like he does lift them up. A bunch of Templar are being morphed in here, and they do turn into Archons straight away. These 2 are at full energy. They should have enough energy to storm at least 3 times. A bunch of Archons actually. Terra knows he killed off a lot of the ghosts, and so he knows that the storm as well as the Archons should be really effective against the Terran army right now. And back at home, there is a nice little Bioforce parked here. I'm not sure what they're doing there, but there aren't any ghosts being produced at this point. Only 2 ghosts are out on the field for the Terran, and right now the only problem for the Terran is he's secured his 4th base, but his natural is nearly mined out. His 3rd is pretty much mined out. His main it's pretty much mined out, and he's only mining off it with 1 SCV. So the Terran economy is quite bad at this point, but the Protoss has neglected to secure his own 5th base, so it's actually the same story for him, and he does try to secure his 5th base now, but both players are struggling quite badly, trying to reforge their armies into a suitable composition. The Terran does have quite a nice gas bank though, so he doesn't need to mine any gas from his 4th as of yet. That Zealot does take out that Marine, a really nice animation there with the legs running around bleeding. And Templar does move into position. It tries to storm the army, but it does miss. It does hit some of the air units, but the Protoss army does move in through the front at the same time. Nice EMPs coming down yet again from Happy. It does look like the Protoss army is in full retreat. This Templar does try to move forward and wards away the army with a nice elite position storm there. This Templar is caught out of position by his 2 Marines, and it does look like it does get sniped off. Really nice moves from EmpireHappy and AiTarra. Look at this. Floating at 400 APM at this point, and his army is looking quite nice. His supplies are really even. Looking at the Protoss army right now, 4 Colossus, 4 Archons, 4 Templar, and if those are allowed to build up their energy, Happy really needs to get his snipes as well as EMPs off really nicely, which he has done throughout this game. But EmpireHappy should be starting to think about securing his 5th base. A Zealot is there to prevent any immediate landings, so that should be nice. But look at this really nicely spread vision by AiTarra. He does have observer at each side of each exit, but it does look like one of the observers does get spotted and does get sniped off. +2 ship weapons is on the way as well, so these Vikings are going to be even more effective against these Colossus, but the Colossus count is back up to 6 yet again, and this army is looking quite formidable for the Protoss, and the Terran does spot the Protoss army moving across the bottom side of the map. He should move into position to try and defend this. The missile turret does spot this observer, and the Viking does get a few hits off on it, but it doesn't die just yet. The Protoss really needs to be careful because he needs to walk through this choke before he can engage his Terran army, and EMPs on a choked up army like that are going to be quite effective, and a nice storm lands on the Ghost, but not before the Ghost snipe that Templar. That health should get healed up quite nicely. The medevacs do have a lot of energy left over now, and the Protoss army does look like it's going to charge into the middle. Nice EMPs, carpet bombing all over this Protoss army, and then with a nice concave from the Terran, he should be doing a pretty nice job. But the Colossus do a really nice job of mowing down a bunch of these bio units, and nice storms as well on top of the Vikings, but not before the Vikings take out the majority of the Colossus, and EmpireHappy comes out with a really nice supply lead after that fight. He is about 50 supply ahead right now, and he is chasing down this army, but it does look like he does pull back. His Ghosts are out of energy. 3 more fresh ones are in the back here though, and very nice Viking count, as well as a medevac count is out on the field right now. EmpireHappy has been able to preserve his medevacs throughout this game and reproducing these Vikings. The problem is when the Terran starts losing medevacs, he has to choose between building medevacs and Vikings, which has not been a problem for EmpireHappy, so that's a really nice thing that's been going for him this entire game. And right now he doesn't need to build any air units. He is working on the upgrades for air, but because he just has enough medevacs and Vikings out on the field right now, all he needs to do is make a bunch of ground units. Well, the Protoss has to rebuild his whole army consisting of different techs. So +3 shields is also on the way. But with the EMPs being so nice for Happy, this extra armor on the shields doesn't come into play too much at all throughout this game. And looks like the Protoss is going to try and secure this base. This is a sign on this map that the game has gone into the ultra late game. Securing these 2 bases becomes really critical once the game gets into the really late game. And it looks like EmpireHappy is quite content to just sit back and defend, because he has just secured his 5th base. It's quite safe with his bunker here. He should know about this 5th of the Protoss, and if he just keeps, but he knows that Protoss has been on a 4th and 5th base for much longer than him, so he is going to mine that out faster. So if anything, if EmpireHappy can keep denying the Protoss from securing any more bases, he should technically, if he trades costs efficiently every time, he should be able to kind of dry out the Protoss. And nice job over here with sending the SCVs to repair the Vikings. A nice flank is being set up here by these Zealots, while the main bulk of the army does move down here to the to defend this expansion, which Terra is opting to secure now. And these Templars have built up quite a nice amount of energy, and he does spread them nicely across his base, so one EMP doesn't get catch all of them at once. And the Terran army is maneuvering around, trying to get a good position to try and engage this army perhaps. But it does look like he is going to move along the northern side, and these zealots are all going to get decimated by these ghosts. Ghosts actually do 26 damage versus light, so they are actually really good against the zealots of the Protoss. And as you can see, he only has Happy only has 6 Marines right now. The majority of the Marines have been replaced by ghosts because the Marauders take care of all armored units, while the Ghosts take care of all the light units. And Happy really needs to be careful. There's a really nice Colossus count here for Terra, but it does look like the majority of his army is just a Colossus, and the lack of buffering units for his army is kind of putting him behind in this fight, and most of the Colossus do get taken out, and the supply is yet again ahead for Happy by around 50 supply. And Happy is really nicely reproducing his army right now, adding a bunch more Vikings. A lot of them did go down to the really nice storms that Terra did manage to land, but not before the Vikings did take out the 7 Colossus which were out at that time. And Terra does position some Zealots here yet again to spot any sort of run-bys into through the north. And Terra is desperately trying to put down more cannons here to buy himself more time. He needs to get a bigger army. It does look like he is going to sack this 5th base, and this is quite painful for Terra at this point. He is kind of starved out for minerals. He is mining off kind of like a 1.5 base economy right now, and that's just not enough to try and replenish such a mineral and gas heavy army, which is the Protoss army. And Happy is doing just such a nice job staying calm. He did find himself at a slight disadvantage in the mid game just because Terra had a really nice containment in him, but he did take his time. He broke out of it, and now his unit composition is looking really nice. Plus 3 ship weapons on the way, as well as 2 nukes. He is securing the gases at his 5th base, and the income for Happy is quite nice. He is starting to mine out his 4th base, so he might want to secure one more base pretty soon, but he might try to finish it before then actually, because of how small Terra's army is. But Happy is being so patient. He isn't charging into the Protoss 4th base location because it is so nicely fortified. He doesn't want to take any chances. As a Terran player myself, I know how sad it is when you're at an advantage, but then the Protoss get some really cost-effective battles off, and the match goes back into an equal position, and then you end up losing. But it does look like Terra is opting to go for even more Colossus. 3 are popping out, 4 are already out on the field, but looking at this Terran army, he should be able to deal with this army quite nicely, and a tactical nuke going down for the Terran. This is a really nice position for a nuke. The Protoss army just cannot stay here, but it does look like he does cancel the nuke. Really nice storms coming down, but not that many units die. 1 Ghost does die there, but with this many medevacs, with this much energy, healing storm damage like that is basically nothing for Happy at this point, and he is still at a 40 supply lead. A bunch of the probes haven't moved over here to try to start mining this. Oh wow, okay, so looks like Terra does GG out right there. He kind of realizes that he's in a pretty bad position. The Terran army is just so formidable at this point. The Terran economy is better, and Terra is forced to GG out. I mean, I did sense some sarcasm there, and that is a little bit unfortunate, but nevertheless, this series was a really sick series. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I'll see you guys next time.